the liquor store, guy hurling insults at you. You were drunk, doing blow. He was drunk, but he wouldn't shut up. Again, it's like, why do people do this? Why did he like antagonize you? So he was saying some terrible things to you. I don't even want to say them. It makes me mad that he would say that to you. Really mad. So I can imagine how mad you were because they were being said to you. So you punched him. He got down and you didn't really want much more to do with him, but he got back up, wiped the spit off his face and the blood, and started with the racial slurs again. And you said, "What'd you call me?" And he said what he said. I'm going to go ahead and say it. So people out there, I hope we have a lot of Mexican Americans watching this. He called him a filthy cholo, which makes me disgusted. It really does. I hate that. This guy had a wife, surprisingly enough, and she's up screaming at him just to let it go. Well, she was wise. Let it go and shut up. Get in the car. Let's go. He wouldn't, though. So he came at you. You got in a fight again. You knocked him down. You began punching him in a total blind rage, all your pent-up anger pouring out through your fist. Leave him alone, his wife says. Finally, she gets to him. They open the door for him to get in. Once he gets in the car, your rage wasn't fully spent yet, so you reached under your jacket to where, as usual, you had a small pistol concealed. You pulled it out and you pulled the trigger. He slumped in his seat and he turned, glared at the wife who was screaming at you, and you walked calmly. Oh, you glared at the wife and you walked calmly to your car. When you woke up from a nap, you got arrested on this eventually.
Right.
Yeah. This is the one where you drove your car and they were chasing you and you jumped out of your car and let the car go down the embankment.
Right.
Hit a tree, right? You did get caught and you got back into the system again, the county jail. And you had another cellie. Your cellmate had been green lighted. And this is the one you needed to send a letter to someone. And in prison, when you ask an expert to send a letter, that means you need a shank made.
Right.
So would you draw a picture on the envelope for me? He knew exactly what I meant and went to work right away. Word went up and down the cell block, and other prisoners started beating out a rhythm with their hands to drown out the sound of a knife being sharpened on the concrete floor. He made it and he got it back to you. You had it, and the cellmate was like, "Hey, what's up? What'd you get? What'd you get?" And you're like, "I got a picture on an envelope. Can I see?" You said, "Sure, here's the picture," handing him the envelope with my left hand and jabbing the 3-inch blade into his belly with my right hand in a single movement. He screamed, of course, and the guards soon came running, but I managed to stab him several more times before they pulled him off of me. In a rush to get him to the infirmary, the guards carried him away and left me locked in the cell. By the time they came back for me, I had cleaned up all the blood and flushed the shank down the toilet. Later, the case would be dismissed for lack of evidence. That attack got you transferred to a tougher area of prison known as Palm Hall. It was where they put the hardened criminals and members of various gangs. You had achieved what every gangster dreams of. You were a made man, part of the elite, controlling cadre at the top level of the organization. And the list of made men in the organization is a tightly guarded secret, but apparently the prison authorities had your number because before long they gave you a scholarship to the highest of all institutions of higher learning in the California prison system, Pelican Bay.
Right.
When you got to Pelican Bay, you found out being a made man was not what people think. They make these movies where they glamorize the life with the drugs and the money and the women and the cars and everything is beautiful and tigers and pet lions and whatever you want you have, and there's never any chaos. What a little bit there is, you just snap your fingers and somebody gets rid of it, but that's not the way it is. This is when you got put in the SHU, which is a 8x10 secure housing unit made of smooth poured concrete, no windows, fluorescent lights, 24 hours every day. You remain in your cell looking out through a perforated steel door at a solid concrete wall. Food is delivered twice a day, a breakfast sack, lunch, and dinner through a slot in the cell door. That was your life. You were able to go one prisoner at a time to go to a shower or to the court-mandated 5 hours per week of outdoor exercise. This exercise takes place in a cement yard, often called the dog run, which extends partially the length of 3 cells, partial roof, and the correctional officer in the control booth is always armed, staring at you the whole time. You were in the SHU. You got no special favors. All the big guys that you thought were there for you. You had done everything that they asked and then some. You risked your life for them. You did everything for them because they were your higher power. They were your God. They were your family because you didn't have God in your life yet. So you had that hole and you were trying to fill it with La Familia, the family, what we think is the family with that life. But you were there, they turned their back on you. Yeah, here we go. But as a made man, I expected that my comrades would see to it that I was at least comfortable in my solitary confinement. There are all kinds of perks available to prisoners with the right connections, a TV, decent toiletries, snacks, coffee. You didn't get any of that. You didn't get anything. You were stuck in that. You had some books, you had a New Testament about nothing else, and you had spent your whole life pursuing nothing but a promise that would never be fulfilled. After months with no meaningful contact, you begin to realize that nobody in the organization really cared about you or what happened to you or what you had done for them in the past. You were very little use to them in your isolation cell. Your role for them had always been an enforcer, and there wasn't much you could do when you're in the SHU. To make matters worse, you knew your old homie, Big T, the big brother of Little T, was also confined in the SHU, but made no effort to contact you or do anything for you. After a year, you heard from him. They were putting people in SHUs together. He wanted to go in the SHU with you, so you both wrote letters. I don't know any more than you do how you got approved known gang members that they put you in the same SHU. That had to be God wanting to show you what you thought was real, that he didn't care. He gets in the cell with you, basically dismisses you like you're an underling. He'd get all the perks. He wouldn't offer you anything. He would talk down to you condescending like you were his bellhop or something like that. He wanted you to do a hit on somebody. Is that right? Did I skip ahead? Or let's see.
Yeah, they wanted me to kill my cousin and my brother, you know. But see, the thing is that, you know, you when you're looking at it, it's glamorized. You know, the gang, the organization life, it's like glamorized to you. You want the power, you know. You want to be a shot caller, you know. And what happens is that you get there and you realize it isn't everything it was cut out to be. You know, my thing is like to get, you know, what I want to get across is that I pray that for the young homies, for the young gang members that are blinded by this lifestyle, that they would realize that, man, their eyes will be open, that, man, dude, you know, it isn't everything is laid out. It's, you know, it's glamorized to be. It isn't, absolutely. You know, even now, you know, everything has changed, you know. And I considered that guy my best friend, you know. I considered him a brother. I considered him my best friend. And you know, it went downhill, you know. But I just, to the younger homeboy, to the young homie coming up, I want to say it ain't worth it. It ain't worth your whole life in prison. It ain't worth your whole life spent in and out of prison. I know guys that have done 30 years. They get out and they have nothing, nothing. And they don't have any skills. They don't have any training in a certain job that they could do to make money, to earn money, because now, you know, hey, all that life is over. I don't know anybody out here, you know what I mean? Except my family at the church. Those are I consider them family. Yeah. Because they got my back. Even if I'm not there, they're praying for me. I'm praying for them. And if I hear one of them is in need, I'll go out of my way, you know. But this life, that everybody's out for themselves, you know. And I was looking just before we started this interview, I was looking at a scripture, and it's if you don't mind me reading it.
I would love for you to read it.
It's in Proverbs, right? It says, they, you know, because some of these guys are really, really smart. They're really, really smart dudes. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing that gets me. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You know, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And then it goes on to say, my son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be a garland, a graceful ornament around your head, and a chain about your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up like Sheol and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all one kind of purse, right? It goes on to say, don't listen to them. Don't follow them, you know, because your life is going to go down. You make your own grave. You're digging your own grave. You know, I see many hardcore guys, strong-minded, strong dudes, and I seen them die at the hands of their own people, you know, at the hands of their own brothers. And I've seen them leave. And man, dude, you know, don't think you're all that in a bag of chips, you know, right? You're not indestructible. But man, let me tell you, man, God has your back. God wants to rescue you from that life, man. God touched my heart. And that's what changed everything for me, man. That God came into my life. And now I'm able to minister to other people through anger management, through my domestic violence program for many years, you know. But still, man, if there's one person I could reach, I'm willing. If there's one person I could touch, I'm willing. Man, I'm willing to let God use me in somebody's life to change their life so that they don't have to go down the road that I went through. Or, you know, I'm not here to give up people or to give up this or give up that. I'm here to help. I'm here to reach out. I'm here to stand by you and help you to so that your life can be better, man. When I came out in 1997, I had nothing, you know. I started going to Victory Outreach Eagle Rock. I ended up getting a little job, and then through the ministry, I was able to go to Houston, Texas for a little bit, and there I started going to school and got my journeyman license in electrical, and that's what I do today, and that's how I support my family, you know. And man, you know, first God, let God, and it's only been God, man, that I was able to become an electrician and I'm able to write a book. It's only God, man, you know, nothing else. But it's all been God. He's had my back. Like nobody ever had my back. But God has my back.
That's so true. Man will always let us down.
Mm-hmm.
God never does. Even when our prayers don't get answered in the way we want them answered, they're getting answered. We just have to keep that faith, that Pastor Pete faith that he had.
Man. And then, you know, man don't have your back. And even though they wanna help you, you know, even though you feel like, man, this guy has my back,
Yeah.
you know, and even though he wants to have your back, you know what? Hey, don't be surprised when he stabs you in the back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I
Like
do.
the way what happened to Stretch, you know? We grew up together. Man, in elementary school, his little brother was my best friend, man. And I always looked at him like my best friend. Always. And I used to go to his house and we'd kick it. And Stretch would be there, you know, like bullying us around, you know? But I always respected him. I always looked up to him. And that day, I didn't really want to hurt him. I didn't want him getting hurt. You know, I was hoping while we were driving there, I was hoping he would have had enough common sense to get in his car and take off or, you know, like go party somewhere else, you know. But, you know, that pride, you know, he's hardcore. He's hardcore, you know. He's not no pushover. He's not no punk, you know. And you know that's why he stayed there to let them know I'm not afraid of you. You know,
Yeah.
and
I definitely, knowing Stretch, I agree with what you're saying. I can see that where he would be that way back then. I know you'll be back in a second. It just went black.